everybody. Good morning. It is December 26th. That's the day after 25, right? Yes, 2018. I want to welcome everybody to this daily awakening, high energy misfits. So, before we get started, does anybody have something that's just they're wanting to jump out and say something? I'm not sure. I'm just throwing it out there. If anybody's got anything that we need to focus in on, let me know. If not, I'm going to go into some content. But again, this is not about me being the sexy lead dog. Okay. So this morning, one of the things Michelle and I have been doing is loving Kyle Cease. Great guy, comedian, and his last one that he just did at the Dolby was pretty cool, called Loving Out Loud. But one of the things that came to me that Michelle and I have been working on, and we do this every year towards this part of the year, was having a conversation about what are our best ideas? What are the things we do the best that make us excited and bring us joy? So that's what I wanted to share with you this morning. It's how to find your list. Let me ask this by show of nod of heads. If you could find a way to live in your tens, those things that excite you, those things that drive you, those things that make time and space seem like it's not even an issue. If we could have a conversation about that, would that be worth your time today? Okay, good. I see enough nodding heads. We'll go ahead with that. Because again, it's just I'm wanting to create content. So how do I get started? Here we go. So here we go. Your list of tens. That which expands you. So I'm going to ask you to get some notes. And for those of you that are driving or sitting in an airport parking lot, this will be recorded. But this is about really getting clear on what's going to drive us in this coming year. So here's what I'm going to ask you to write a list of 10 of. And we're going to take some time and we're going to just do that now. They make you better in the moment. You forget about time and space. I want you to think for just a second of those times when you've been like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the whole day's gone, or I can't believe the whole week is gone, or I can't believe right? What are those things? And this is what we really want to talk about. It's about living in your 10. So how much time do you spend each day in your 10? I want you to write this number down, and I want you to really think about this. If you look at your every day, if you look at every day that transpires in your life, the question that I have for you is how much of your day, your waking hours, do you spend doing the things you love absolutely the most? If you were to guess, right, just look at your last couple of weeks. Is it 70% of your day? Is it 10% of your day? Look at the things, and maybe it's 0% of your day. You just got to do some crappy stuff that doesn't excite you at all. Well, we're going to have a conversation this morning about how do we transition that? Because if the law of attraction works, and it does, then us not being in our 10 state is, well, Sean, you don't understand. I got to get money. I got to do this for a job. Totally get that. Been there, done that. Do that still sometimes. The key is that if we don't realize how much time we're not spending in our 10 life, we're spending it a lot less. How much time? So here's the next question. How much time do you want to spend in it? And that's my goal today, is to show you how you can spend more time in your 10s. So here's the requirements for a 10. It must excite you to your core. I'm going to ask you to write down a list of these. So I want you to be thinking about these things. It must excite you to your core. When you're in this state, the world is a good place, right? All of the stress, whether it be bills or this, that, or the other, they cease to exist. They're not as important to you living in your 10 state. And it brings you a new plan of awakening. Right? When you get into this state, you have your best ideas, you have your best concepts, you have your best dreams come true in this moment. And when you're here, you can do anything. So what I want you to do is I want you to literally, on the sheet of paper in front of you, I want you to go ahead and I want you to write down your list of 10 things, right? And in that list of 10 things, so I want you to experience the state, because your state of being in your 10 is critical. It's absolutely critical. Let's see here. Can you all hear me okay? Okay. Sorry, Christine, I'm not sure what the challenge is. So, so here's real quick. What I want you to do is I want you to put down on a sheet of paper, I want you to write 1 through 10. And we're going to take a minute and we're going to just let you experience writing down some things that are 10s in your life. State of mind and energy when you're reading, when you're going to the ocean, when you're talking to a friend, right, that absolutely makes you laugh your butt off all the time. What are 10s in your life? So take some time right now and write those things down. What would be a 10 in your life? What would be something that maybe you've done it before, maybe it's on your bucket list of things to do? What are some of the things that you would love to do? I'll share with you a couple of mine. I love watching when people awaken to their greatness. That's why I love watching some America's Got Talent Golden Buzzer session. Sitting in front of a wood fire with snow outside. For somebody who wasn't so scholarly, one of the things I love is taking great notes from great audiobooks. That just changes my whole day. Anybody having some trouble writing down their list of 10? I got to 3, right? This is where it's neat to be the observer and say, my gosh, how much have I been limiting myself? Just keep writing. It doesn't have to be the right one right now. It's just open your mind to possibilities. What would that be? Taking a cruise, sitting out in a park listening to an acoustic guitar concert. Going skinny dipping. I want to see who laughs. Imagine what if. What if this was your normal day? What's that thing that needs to happen to break you free? I love listening, doing things or being around when Michelle and Mason start giggling together. That there's nothing better. So it's things like that, creating an environment for more of those things to happen. How many of you got your 10? Okay, cool. All right, I'll give you another 30 seconds. And again, you can go back and do this. This is about an exercise of being able to create. And I would encourage you, put some music on, or some music that you like that excites you and makes you feel good about things. So, I'm going to open it up real quick, or tell me what you felt when you were writing those things down. I'd love for you all to share with each other, right? We're a bunch of high energy misfits. Bless you, Mary. What'd you feel when you were writing things down? Who wants to share? I'll go first. I'll tell you that there was a lot of lack that came up when I was doing it. And there was a lot of judgment going, is that really a 10? Really? That's what you're thinking? That's what was going through my head. And then I went through that. I pushed through that idea, that concept, that fear, and said, no, that's really what I am, right? Because sometimes we judge ourselves to keep ourselves from having fun. What were some of the feelings that came up as you were writing and going through this? Anyone like to share?
Good.
That's
old
okay if you don't.
Leslie, she is. So determination.
Yeah, okay.
To get there, because like you said, there was some lack stuff in there that I haven't been addressing. So it was determination to get to that side.
Okay, cool. And
I love that.
Anyone else want to share? So here's what happens next. Now that you have that list, so here's my question. Does anybody feel comfortable sharing how much they actually live their day in that state? What percentage of your day you live in your 10s?
5%. If.
Okay, so let me ask this. By show of hands, how many of us would say it would be less than 50% of their day lived in that state? So then here's the tough question. Kyle Cease asked this question to the audience. How many of you believe life is giving, what percentage of joy is life giving you back? It might be less than 50%. It might be pretty close to the same thing. So then the question comes is, well, how the heck do I get out of this state and get into this state? I don't know that it's a giving up of stuff more than it is wanting to give away some old stuff. So part of the process is that there's 4 areas. So now that you have these things, if you were to go live in this state, to go live in your 10s of life, what would you have to do? You'd probably have to face some reality. Again, one of the things that the conversations that were happening, so you've got your list. You've got your list of 10 things, right? Then he talked about the 4 stages. The 4 stages that we go through is, what if you went out and you decided you had to go live in this state? So here's the ones that scares me. And I know, again, this is us having a conversation. So this one doesn't scare me. It is one of the things that it's one of my things that I really want to be able to live at a 10. It's to be able to go swim with the whales and to look into a whale's eye. People I've talked to, the stories I've heard about when you do that, it is just this an awakening. So anyways, so that's one. That I don't know that would scare me at all. Maybe it would when something's the size of a building swimming next to you. But it's to build an audience of fanatics, of fun fanatics. That scares me. Because why? Well, what if nobody shows up? What if nobody really likes me? I'm serious. This is me just being totally transparent. So there's a huge fear to that. Every morning, I think I'm getting a little more comfortable thinking, maybe I don't jump on till I get the email that says your audience is waiting. But I'm just sharing with you, it's scary sometimes when you put yourself out there. And then the sad part is, of the 4 stages, the sad part for me would be is, well, what the hell were you waiting for? Right? How many of us have done something and people are like, finally, thank God, you're doing what you're great at. So, and then we get excited, right? So right now I'm probably in the excited stage still. I've been speaking for 30 years and I still get into the excited stage. There's certain things I do that have become a normal, right? Maybe my Facebook Lives. I don't know that I have fear when I get on there. I have an excitement but it's a normal excitement. So I'd ask you to go through the stages of each of your 10s. What would it be? What's the fear behind it? What's keeping you from doing it? And then you're going to go through that sad part, right? It just happens. These are the stages of life. It's like you can't plant an apple seed today and expect apples tomorrow. There's stages. And then what's your excited stage? In the excited stage, here's one of the things that it kind of hit me when I was watching this training that Kyle was doing. And it was, you're looking for, you're in your source and you're in that state. And then what happens is we use this expression in network marketing, people begin to believe their own press. People believe that they are their own greatness. And that's when the wheels start to fall off a wagon, when you think you're as good as you think you are, as people tell you you are. There's a lot more you can do to get better. So look at these stages. What would the fear be? I want you to experience, and again, this is homework. This is success work for you to go through. What would the state of energy be if you actually went into living that state? Right? So for me, it was 3 Thursdays ago, whatever it was, when I said, I'm going to start a call on Friday morning. Scared the hell out of me, literally, which is probably why I'm a little more holier, because a lot of hell left me. My point is that it was like, oh my gosh. I put it out there in Facebook, right? So you tell your friends, and it was scary as heck. I'm not kidding you. And then to like get up and do all of that. So if anybody wants to share, can anybody look at one of their goals and say what might be one of the things that's kind of the fear state that they might get into? And again, you don't have to. I just know that when we express it in the external world, sometimes things show up a little bit differently for us. And this isn't, I'm going to just hang out till somebody says something. But I'm just wanting you to, if you want to share, you can. So how many of us are sitting there right now going, well, I'm not saying nothing. Hell, that's scary. Welcome to the first stage.
Well, I'll take a stab at this.
Okay.
It's interesting that you presented this topic in this way. Christmas morning, I woke up and had a crying fit. I woke up listening to Karen Carpenter sing some Christmas tune and immediately broke into deep sobbing. And when I let myself go ahead and sob like crazy, what came up for me was a lot of things that I had not accomplished or losses that I had encountered. And I got to thinking about it afterward. And one of the things when you presented this challenge to come up with some goals or bucket list items, what comes up for me is not often enough in my life have I allowed myself to be really angry. And I got to thinking about how you started this whole thing off asking, have we had enough? And so maybe at the top of my bucket list is the wish to allow myself to be angry more often, but I know I won't stay in it, because I've been the kind of person who somehow tolerates a lot of things probably too easily in my life. And but I wish to develop the pattern where I can allow myself to be momentarily angry about what's not happening, what I'm not doing, what's not working for me at the moment, so that I really know what I want. And yet be able to not have the fear that I'll get out of control, I'll do something rash, or I'll stay in that state too long and maybe hurt somebody, or so that's kind of what came right to the top of my list.
Wow.
How can I develop the skill? I think I know where it came from in my case. My father was the kind of person who was, he never did anything really dangerous or anything like that, but from time to time there would be emotional outbursts that I really considered irrational. And so I have a feeling like that's an imprint that I picked up 3/4 of a century ago, and still have not completely drained out of my system.
Bob, and I'm proud of you, and I'm blessed that you are here to share that, because of somebody that always shares amazing wisdom. A lot of times everybody goes, God, if I could just be like Bob, but maybe they hear this story and they go, well, shit, maybe I don't want to be like Bob. So the point is that we all have these caskets, these lockers, foot lockers, or storage buildings of stress and anxiety that have existed, that have been imprinted on us. You said that great word, because we didn't ask for it. It's a memory that got imprinted, became part of our DNA, and it got duplicated. And think about this. One of my most life-changing moments happened when I was 14. But I can still go back to that day just like that. And I don't know, almost 40 years ago, I'm 53, I'm not doing the math that fast. So like 40 years ago, maybe, that happened. How is that still in my DNA? Because every time it's been running at a subconscious level and being imprinted into every cell. I can't remember that. There's not enough space in a brain to remember every moment from every second that's gone by. But yet we can. So where's that all stored? Is it stored in the ether, and we have a download, instant download from the God box of infinite wisdom, that all of this stuff exists? But 3/4 of a century ago, that's 75 years, to have that thing still sit there, that had to be carried over into the new body, right? Every 7 years, it's a new body. Every 12 years, something is right. Every so many minutes. How many of us are doing this? What an amazing example of courage, to share that. But now to realize that. So, Bob, I'm not sure if or all of us, so one of the books that helped me through that process that you're talking about, the fear of going down the rabbit hole, was Lynn Grabhorn's book, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And she's got a manual that goes along with it, a workbook. But Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting, an amazing book that says, if you're going to go down the crapper, go. If you do it quick enough, fast enough, your body, just like a bobber, won't let you stay there, but at least you get it out, right? And so I would encourage you to, as you have awoken to that concept, let it go. Because there's times when I'll be sitting watching TV, and there'll be a sad, sappy thing on. I was watching It's a Wonderful Life last night, right? So just get my box of Kleenex, or Beamish, our dog, he can hear me whimper, and he'll come over and he'll sit and he'll lick my tears. So that's an okay thing. That changes my state. But it's okay. Lynn Grabhorn says, if you're going to go down there, go down there. Get it over with. Because if you don't, right, imagine if you had a bread drawer. I just dated myself now, for those of you that don't know what a bread drawer is. But you had a bread drawer in there and there was some mold in there, but you kept putting more bread in there. It's not going to, it's like, why is the bread going bad so fast? So maybe in that cleansing, in that clearing, some of the other awakenings can happen on a more regular basis. But Bob, I appreciate you for sharing that. Anyone else have something that's coming up that's boiling up from this?
Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Linda.
How are you?
Outstanding.
Awesome. That's awesome. I'm kind of like where Bob is, and I'm thinking too, was it the holidays that got this stirring up or whatever? And I don't want to cry, but it's like I have a daughter that has she wants nothing to do with me, and it's been 3 months, and she has a little boy that I haven't seen, and it's just been really hard. But through this time I'm at the point where it's like, fuck, I've had enough. I've had enough of this fucking bullshit. Excuse my French, but I really have. But I love it, right? And it stems back because there's been things that have happened in my lifetime, like years ago, and I'm thinking, am I blocking myself from receiving things because of what happened to me as a little girl? Or like I'm at the point where I feel like Bob, like I want to blow, but I'm thinking, no, I can't, because it's, oh my God, my kids will think I'm nuts, or, you know, like they already think I'm nuts. So it's, but it's just been really, really painful. But my oldest daughter, she got me this book. I haven't read it yet. She got me this for me for Christmas, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F-U-C-K.
Great book.
And have you read it?
Yes.
I'm thinking like, I know I've got to get into this, and I don't mean to be, you know, I do. I guess I'm feeling this right now. I'm not going to excuse it because it's something that has to be, you know, has to come up. My God, I just feel like I need to explode. I just feel like I need to like.
So Linda, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
And I love that.
And I love that. Yeah.
Watch this. So watch this.
And I love that.
Watch this. So right now, is your daughter in the room?
No.
So where is your daughter where's your daughter that's causing this?
Where does she live physically?
No.
She's in here. Yes.
So who are you having an argument with? You're not having an argument with her.
It's me.
You're having an argument with you.
Yeah.
You've set a standard of something that should happen, that the way you see it, and you're having an argument. Literally, I love you. You know this. You're having an argument with no one.
Yeah.
You're having an argument with you. And you're creating this pattern that says, I'm going to continue this argument with me. So here's the question then. Here's the cool question.
Yeah.
You having this argument is keeping you from doing what?
Living. It's keeping me from moving forward. Yes.
Right. So and where do you feel that? Where do you feel that in your body right now?
In my throat.
Okay. So there's words that need to be said that you're not saying to yourself. There's a clarity that needs to happen. So you're feeling that pain in your throat. What does it feel like?
It feels like it's choking me out. And I love it.
So now that your words, right? So if your words need to go there, how, as somebody that deals in ministry and somebody that deals with helping people to heal, ministry is mostly about what? You're put in a position to do what?
To help people, to give.
To speak life into others.
Yes.
So where's your life not being spoken into you? Why are you holding off on speaking life into you? So if you were now sitting in the audience, right? Dr. Wayne Dyer, change the way you look at things and the things you look at. If you were now sitting in the audience and you took on the role of mentor, what would you say to you?
Oh my God.
Would you say, it's time for you to love you. What would you say? I
Yes.
mean, literally, what's coming into your head? You now have a parishioner.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
have a congregant that's sitting in the audience. Tell them what would you say to them now? That you see them, you truly have empathy of
Yes.
living what they've lived. What would you say to them? What would you give them guidance on?
You're loved. You're worthy. There's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with me. You are so loved.
What would you hope they take away from that conversation?
The truth that they are loved, that they are worthy, that they
And
would,
where are you feeling that wisdom coming from now? Where do you feel this now?
in my heart, right in my chest. Yeah. In my chest.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I mean that. When I share that with people, I do mean that.
So I would find the nearest mirror as soon as you can,
Yes.
and I'd have that conversation.
And I tell people that all the time. Go look in a mirror and just tell yourself how much you're loved, how much you're worthy. I tell people all the time, and I don't do it myself.
So here's what I know in my
Yeah.
40 years of mentoring, because I started when I was 10.
Mhm.
Didn't know it was called that. And I wasn't looking to do that. I just saw things in a unique way. We all know the answer to the next step.
Yeah.
We all know the answer to the next step. The challenge is we overburden and we overload my daddy would say you overloaded your alligator mouth with your hummingbird thoughts.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Right? And we talk ourselves into this deep pile of crap, and all we got is a hummingbird trying to pull us out of quicksand, and that's not it. We all know the next step. The challenge is we're trying to figure out the 72nd step, and there's no freaking way we can figure that out.
Yeah.
Well, by June, I want to be blank, blank, blank.
Yeah.
Seriously? If you could do that, you should be running the world.
Yes.
But yet we go to events, we go to meetings, we sign up for books and trainings and tapes, and everybody tells us you got to put your plan together. You got to put your plan together for you, not for anybody else, and you got to start with today, not tomorrow.
Yes.
The only time anybody talking about tomorrow got paid is the Hollywood, the Broadway musical Annie.
Yeah.
In this state, in this moment, so 10 weeks from now, 10 hours from now, 10 minutes from now, all got started from what state of mind? This state. And if you're in a shitty state right now, guess what? There's a damn good chance you're going to wind up with a 30 seconds from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do we believe that it has to take? We're not growing a redwood here.
Mm-hmm.
We are, but how does a 3,000-year-old redwood grow?
Yeah. One day at a time. Yeah.
Every minute at a time.
Yeah.
So the key then becomes, like Bob said, I love that he put on the Carpenter music and started
Yes.
having a awaken fest.
Mm-hmm.
Because the tears, Kyle C says in his program, the tears are the shedding of the ego, the eroding of the ego. If the Grand Canyon got built the way it got built from what? Water. Sometimes we do need to cry. Sometimes we do need to let that expression go. And it's okay.
Yes.
I mean,
'Cause if-
sometimes I'll put the brakes on when I'm doing stuff, but recently I've turned it off. And I mean, it's some chest breathing exercises, some of these tears.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because part of us is sad we haven't done what the hell we said we were going to do.
Yes.
Well, now we're in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you feel this now? Where are you feeling this now? This state
It's
of
more, it's more in my head than anywhere else. So it's like, it's just even talking about it right now, I just feel like there's it's even a little bit of it that's just chipping away, you know, like it's releasing. I have more of a peace right now than I,
Okay.
yeah.
So based on what you just shared with me, this piece that you're in, it's a thinking piece.
Yeah.
Move it into a feeling piece.
Mm-hmm.
What would it have to do for it to move into your body, that now move back into your source that beats your heart? Because you're still using logic to say it's okay to be happy.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Right? You're still thinking it's okay. I got somebody that said I can think this way. I want you to feel this way. Here's the thing about
Wow.
children. They love you, they hate you, they
Yeah.
excite you, they spend your money, they make you money, they do all of the things that they do, but when it all comes down to it, they're still your baby.
Yes. Yeah.
Stuart Wilde in his book 33 Steps to Your Infinite Self shared I take it back. It was Beyond Zero Point with Greg Braden. I listened to this on a cassette tape. Just a little note. How many of you have seen in the last couple of daily awakenings where I'm having to clear my throat? Does anybody notice that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a cold, and that's the universe trying to stop me from talking.
Yes.
I shouldn't say the universe. It's my ego trying to stop me from sharing a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I bring it up and say it is that this happens. I see this all the time. You watch every Zoom live that I do. There's never a moment where I've had to clear my throat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that because I'm having a conversation with you and you said, where's your discomfort at?
Yeah.
So just be aware of when the universe tries to slow you down or you start doing something that's out of the normal.
Yes.
So I don't even know where I was going. What was I talking about?
Interrupting that, you know, so where you're taking it from a thought to like a feeling.
Right. So get this into a feeling, get this into a state. And I promise you, as you move this into your state of energy, there's this whole new resource of universe that comes into you.
Mm-hmm.
So out of your head, right?
Yeah.
Into your heart. And from in there, move it down into there, because the state of peace. So this was Greg Braden. So Mason's now 15 plus years old, 2003. He was about 4 months old when our house got destroyed in 2004 with the hurricanes. And we were homeless for 3 years. Now, not living on the street, but we were house hopping, all of this stuff. During that time, would you say that if you became homeless overnight, that probably creates some stress in your life?
Yes.
Well, I was listening to Greg Braden. I had listened to him years ago, and I always still listen to him, Beyond Zero Point. This was before 2000, so I was listening to it like 1998 because they were talking about the Mayan calendar and 2000, Y2K, all that stuff. Anyways, so Mason was getting ear infections, serious ear infections. So much so they were going to put tubes. I don't know what that means, but they were going to put tubes in his ears. And all of a sudden, that tape that I had listened to popped into my head, and a story he told. One of the things that happens in our life, so Mason is made up of whom? He's made up of a lot of people, but primarily his parents, me and Michelle. So in that sperm and in that egg that came together that created this amazing soul, 50% of his DNA is me and 50% is Michelle. Here's what the study showed. Some of you may have heard this already. If I were to scratch a little piece of DNA off of me and put it in a test tube over here, and I were to hook it up to EEGs, EKGs, and monitoring systems, and then they flashed on this wall over here, they flashed the Three Stooges, and I started laughing. My DNA changes, my state changes, my energy changes, my cellular makeup changes, the chemicals in my body being released by my brain, the dopamine, the endorphins, all of that stuff changes. These cells over here instantly changed. Not connected to me, instantly changed. Einstein called it spooky theory at a distance. He had no idea how to explain it. We now call it quantum mechanics. We call it the string field theory. So I'm here, it's there. A private group, I'm sorry, yeah, the government, the US government, this was out of California, they took these cells and they took them to Phoenix. I'm sorry, they took it, the first test they did 40 miles away. Instantly changed. Take this, move it 40 miles, think of someplace 40 miles away from you. Now say, show this different movies, right? The Notebook, the fried green tomatoes, right? All of that stuff. And instantly that DNA changed again. It responded equally and as fast and as fierce as it did in my body, 40 miles away. Couldn't detect any difference in time and space. Private group stopped testing it at 400 miles. And in that, you go north, love you. And in that test, instantly changed, 400 miles away. So I say that to say this. When Michelle and I went back to our mind and said, wait a minute, we're making Mason sick.
Wow.
We stopped. We went back into our meditative state. We went back into our state of gratitude. Mason doesn't have tubes in his ears. Take it for what it's worth. But here's the thing that when I recognize that, one of the things that I learned is I love to give hugs. And then I realized that every time I give somebody a hug, part of me goes there. I can't have a bad day. I choose to not have a bad day.
Amen.
Now, I'm not Gandhi, an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. I have shitty days. But like Bob was saying, I do my best to get through them quick.
Amen.
I go down there and I'm like, I grew up on a farm, a manure spreader. I'm like, I turn it on and I just fling all that stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
And get it the hell out.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? We call it a cleansing, a clearing.
Oh my gosh.
So true.
Isn't it crazy?
I love the manure spreader analogy because that just brought me right back. You know what I mean? That's so true.
Hey, listen, pile it on, mound it up. Put
Exactly. Holy cow, that's awesome.
And think who all you're fertilizing with that.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, can I jump in here? You know, I for those of you that weren't on in the beginning, I was the one on the phone, and I'm always on Zoom, and I can't see any of you, and this could probably be a good thing today. But I was driving my mom, and you know, you kept saying, does anybody want to jump in? And I just had this in the pit of my stomach, yes, 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 but I was not in a place that I could. And so I'm now in a parking lot and have dropped her off, but I just have to share over the last few days, and again, like, everything is timing, and it's just really blowing my mind. Sean, a few days ago, you talked about, I don't know if you were talking about addictions or what you were talking about, but you were talking about being the addiction to approval. And I kind of felt that, but I wasn't sure what to do with it. And then I was sharing with Rick the next day about this awesome, you know, call that I was on, and I mentioned that, and without hesitation, because he has no filter, and we know that, he says, well, that's always you. That's always been you. And I was like, you know, you're right. And been trying to put my finger on a few things. And so we had a good talk, and I knew where it came from. This whole addiction to approval, it drove me nuts. But right back from when in high school and in school, I was always the browner, right? I always had the good marks. But it was just something that was easy. It wasn't a trying thing. That was just easy for me. But then I became a teenage mom and became the black sheep of the family, and strove, you know, as I sat with Rick and we were talking about it the last couple of days, looking back and trying to, you know, see where I was always trying to get back in the good books, trying to get that approval. And it has been a struggle, you know, and then I find we were kind of going back and looking at the last many years and things that we've done. And, and where I would get frustrated. And again, that approval thing, you know, kept showing up. And right now I've got this, you know, it's like I'm not shaking, but it's like, seriously, all I can hear in my head is, seriously, you're telling them this? Because, you know, when you are somebody who's prominent out there, you don't share this stuff. People don't know these things about you because they look and they think, you know, you've got it all together, but you have the crap, right, that goes on inside. And so, like you're saying, you just get that big shovel and you start shoveling it out of there. And so then today, while I was stopped at the airport and you were doing the list of 10, so I'm scribbling down on a piece of paper, and I was doing some of those things, and the percentage, I heard somebody say they did 5%, and I got to thinking, do I even have that? Because I'm busy doing everything else, which wraps into the other day of enough, where I've drawn the line and said, okay, that's it. So it's just been a really crazy, wild awakening over the last few days. And the next thing falls into place, the reminder of Senior Frog with the lid and getting that lid off. And then you said something today, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about where you said, someone said to you, oh, you finally showed up, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I've had that in the last month or two where people have said that, and I've just kind of stopped in my tracks and said, you're right, I am. This feels really good. This is what I'm supposed to do. So I just had been almost giddy wanting to share how all of these steps are like falling into line, and what had happened in realizing that that has been something I did, was seek approval constantly, right? So I just want to say thank you. I mean, I'm expecting a great day today, because Rick and I are actually sitting and going through things for next year and what our goals are and where we see ourselves. So it's the perfect lead up to the morning.
Well, Elaine, thank you. And again, it's so important that in this sharing, right, in this vulnerability, here's the best way. And again, I go back, I don't know why I saw it or how I got onto this a year ago, this watching Kyle Cease. But one of the things that he does is when he brings the folks up who happen to show up on stage, he says, isn't it better, and these people, they're all coaches, right? And he says, do you think that you'd get more coaching from somebody just telling you what to do? Or do you think that when you're going through your own shit that you become a greater coach by being able to show people the vulnerability? And that's what that's why I started to do this, is like, I've been a fraud, a spoof, right? Because I've done all of this stuff, but nobody knows the shit I went through to get here. So you're in some people's eyes, what I'm realizing is you just look like a phony, because everybody's like, you can't be that good. Well, yes, you can. When you've been through the shit storms we've been through, you wind up being that good. Shit polish is pretty good, right? If you get hit with enough of it.
Yes.
So sometimes we need to let people see where we came from, so they can go, oh, okay, now I understand. I used to do a lot of work. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that, has been a thing that Rick and I have come up with together. You know, we've been through so much of the crap, right? It's just like, you've just learned to hover plane over it. We don't fall into it so much anymore. We can kind of slide across the top and keep going, because we've learned how to do some of that and kind of, not sink in it. There's other places we do sink for sure, because we've not experienced that yet. But if something rises up that we've been through and experienced, it's like, okay, we can just slide over this because we've done this before, right? So that just came to me when you were just saying what you did there.
Well, and when you just said hovering over, so the part of me that showed up was sometimes you got to dive in. So I'll throw this out. I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a cattle farm. So when I smell cattle poop, I'm like, oh God, that brings back memories. And I can tell you the difference between Black Angus or whether it's dairy cattle, But then when you get around chicken shit, right? Chicken, the ammonia in chicken poop is like, oh, that's a chicken farm. Woof.
Yeah.
Right? Or a pig farm is sometimes even worse. All I'm saying is that sometimes we're hovering over the shit and we don't know what shit we're hovering over.
That's true. Yeah.
That's me. And so sometimes I may put on my hip waders and go wade in it going, what kind of shit am I in now? Ooh. Right. And so again, that's the visual that came in while I was hearing that. And I can only imagine if this is somebody's first recording that they're listening to the High Energy Business. Oh my God, all they're doing is talking about farm shit.
One prerequisite, you got to come to this group with hip waders. You'll make it.
Right. If you can find the little boy in the bubble, that'd even be better. What else is coming up for anybody? What's popping up?
Hi, Sean.
Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah. I've been reading like an article the other day, and it kind of really hit home with me, like how I've been treating myself about being so critical about myself. And like sometimes it comes out that I can be that way with family too. And I'm trying to change that and kind of not knowing where to go with it.
So Karen, here's a question. I'll share with you the same thing I was sharing with Linda. Now, sometimes we can be critical with family, whether it be in person, but if we're critical with family and the things they do and the activities they have, when they're not there, who are we actually having the critical conversation with?
Probably ourselves.
We are. And here's the thing, and I heard this and I don't know who, I throw it back to Kyle, because one of the things they were talking about is, man, people rip off our stuff all the time. But I'm the apple tree, not the apple. I can do this stuff all day long. So here's my point, is that sometimes when we do this, what are we actually being critical of? Now let's get to the specifics of it. When we get mad, when we get sad, when we get frustrated, when we get excited, and it's just us in the room, it's only a thought. We fear a thought, and a thought is a future thing or a past memory. So if we realize, wait a minute, that's just a thought that made my stomach get all into a knot. And I know this because when the vice president of sales would call me from the company, the thing I used to do the speaking in the past, I'd get a knot in my stomach because the guy was, we'll just leave him as interesting. And in his interestingness, it made my stomach turn into a knot. Now, how many of you would like a call from your superior, right, your boss, and every time they called, you freaked out when you saw their name on the phone, you went, oh, and you were paralyzed. It was a thought. That's just who he was. And I was thinking he needed to be something else, or again, it was just these thousands, 14,000 words a minute we can run through our head. So this, when you're critical of the family, write down what you're critical of, and then say, and I love that. Because in love is like this brilliant light that just dissolves everything.
Mm.
Because here's what I know, Karen. Do you want to be in a state of anxiety or criticalness?
No, I want to get over it.
So here's the thing, right? There's a fence in front of you, and you can do what Yoda says. Climb if you must, walk if you will. There is no try. Right? You're going to go do it. So I would encourage you, the best way to remember how to do something is read the ingredient list. And the ingredient list for not being critical is to write some things down. Get back into your state. Is there a moment in time, Karen, when you're not critical of something? When are you the least critical? What are you doing? I'd ask you to review that with yourself. What are you doing when you're the least critical? When you're in a state of love and joy? Is it watching a movie, reading a book, singing, dancing, whatever it is?
Oh yeah, I love singing. Yeah.
Okay, so whenever you start to become critical of somebody, when you can feel that criticalness creeping in, start to sing. Start to sing. I love these melodies, and I'm not a musician, so I don't know how to say it, but there's a song, there's a line I love to sing. Fall on your knees. That when I sing that, it just brings up this whole thing of me just being obedient to my own self, me saying I don't have the control I need to have. I need to let it come to me and through me.
Mhm.
So figure out what that song is, what that refrain is that you absolutely love, right? I used to ride on my lawnmower, cutting the grass back home on the farm, and well, I can't think of it. I can hear myself sing. I can see myself, I'm standing on the porch and I can see myself cutting the grass. Because if anybody's ever been on farm equipment and you have a conversation, that voice carries. You think nobody can hear it because all of that noise is right there. But my neighbors used to go, "Oh, so you were singing again today?" I'm like, "How the hell did you hear that?" So I would encourage you to sing. Get yourself out of that critical state of an idea. That's all you're critical of, is an idea.
All right.
And the argument we have is with nobody, it's with us. We're having the argument with ourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, thanks.
That's awesome. Anyone else? I love you all. God, you are all making me better. And I appreciate that.
All right, ready?
I'm ready.
The deep one. It's the deep one. So when I was about 19, I had a defining moment in my life that stole my ability to show joy. And when I was younger, I had this giggle that I would hee in my giggle, and it would just, everybody around me would just fall on the floor rolling, and then it would like continue and roll. I have not been able to get to that place since this defining moment. It's always in my background, running in the background of my head, and it's completely changed who I am. I'm so, like you've heard me say that I've always been, I'm going to say controlled, because if I let myself go to that space, I'm afraid that somebody's going to shut me down the way that person did, in the manner that that person did. So there's always like the deep-seated fear. And on my list of 10, there's laugh, there's play, there's being silly. Things that I can't allow myself to enjoy because of the fear of what somebody else is going to say. That's a big one. And I love that. But it's there.
So I would revel in the revelation that you wrote that down, that you shared that. Because, so that happened when you were 19.
Mm-hmm.
So now 10 years later, because you're like, what, 29?
Oh, yeah.
That
That's
has,
in 2 days.
So imagine, so guess what? Guess what just happened? You just said that idea isn't going to stand anymore. You did that. The part of you that has been sitting there. So again, I go back to the visual because that's where the latest awakenings to this. The universe is sitting there. It's like standing right behind me. Now it's jumped into me because this is when I'm in my 10. But it's always around there when you're doing this stuff and not laughing. It's going, okay, whenever you're ready, whenever you want to giggle, it's available. And today you said, okay, enough is enough. Today was the day you had enough. How does that feel that you actually shared that? Where do you feel that?
In my heart.
See, here's the thing about when we have these realizations, when we have tremendous joy, we usually feel it in our heart. And we have tremendous sorrow, we usually feel it in our heart.
Both there.
So sometimes we can't, how do we know which side of the coin we're on? Right? Sometimes
My
Yeah.
main thing is sadness that I've lost so many years of not allowing who I truly am shine forth.
So then the next question is how many more years do you want to give up?
I don't.
So then we got to let that other thought go. It is what it is. It is what it is. That
It's
has
not.
happened. But Eckhart Tolle, in this moment, in this power, in this instant, we only have now. So let me be the first to welcome you. How cool is that?
Yes, thank you, Sean Murphy.
So, that being said, how amazing are you all? Every one of you. Hola, Kayla. So, what an amazing group of misfits, high energy misfits. All I can tell you is thank you. Thank you for you being this amazing soul. Anyone else have anything else they want to share before we wrap this up? So here's what I want you to do today. Here's what I would encourage you to do today. Take your moments and expand on them. Take your list of 10. And if you're living less than 5%, 1%, less than 50%, I can promise you this awakening is just around the corner.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Kayla. Go ahead.
Well, I do want to say something, but I'm scared.
Okay, we got you.
Every time I listen, these misfit meetings, well, it's like it's kind of hard for me because it's like you guys talk in English and then I have to like translate and keep translating, and then by the time that I translate, sometimes all you guys are already in something different, but still I'm getting everything. But I hear everybody talk and I say, gosh, for a lot of time I thought that United States people don't go through things.
Oh, yes, we do.
For some reason, we think that, given that, well, I'm in Panama, and we always feel like people from United States, it's a first world country, so they already been through those things like 50 or 80 years ago. So those type of problems or feelings don't go through them. Or that's the way I think about it, right? And that's why I always fear of talking, because I always feel like whatever I have to say is already something that you guys not even know about it or been through, because that already passed. And I really want to thank you, everybody, for sharing, because it made me realize that United States, Panama, anywhere, I mean, we all have things, fears and scares, right? And I always want to say something because I love to talk, but I always stay quiet, right? And one of the things that is really bugging me a lot is, and I want to share it, is I just wonder what I keep thinking. Why loving? Why not? I don't know how to put it. Why not hating people, or why not feeling bad with people, or why people do things to you, or why you can't hate them, or why you can't be mad, or why you can't. I mean, I don't feel that way. It's like no matter what people do, no matter what anybody do to me, and I know why probably I am like that, but I wonder is that correct? It's like I feel like I'm a kid like for all my life. Every day I feel like I'm a kid. And I know also why I feel that way. But I wonder is fine to never feel bad with no one. I mean, people done so many stuff to me, like I guess to everybody, or everybody go through the same thing, I don't know. But I just can't feel bad. And I wonder if that's bad, not feeling bad. It's like you do something to me today, and tomorrow I want to talk to you. You do something to me, and I want to call you, or you call me, and I'm like, oh, and people is like, why are you doing that? People doing things to you, and you just, and then I'm kind of confused now, because the older I get, before it never bothered me. Before it was like, okay, fine. But the older I get, it's like the more it bothers me, and it's like I do want to be mad. I do want to hate people. It's like some people want to love, I want to hate, and I don't have that feeling, and I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel like something is wrong, and I started to notice that now more, because the last 3 years I've been dealing with more people, and given that I'm dealing with more people, it's like now I start to wonder if that's okay, not hating no one, not feeling bad. And then I hear you, Sean, saying me loving more. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm right. I love, but then I'm confused. And I don't know. And I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but I'm now I feel like that's giving me, I'm feeling fear. I have a lot of fear now of talking and saying or making calls or anything, because I feel like it's not normal love people.
So I think you're here because you love people. Everyone that's on this call is because they love people. That is a unique quality that exists in the world. You just don't happen to hang around a lot of them. So therefore you're the oddball, right? We connected, we had a conversation, and it's because I saw in you this greatness and this ability to be as a strong and powerful woman, to be an example. So maybe, just maybe, and I'll let some of the other women speak to you on this, because I last I checked, I'm a guy. My brain operates differently. So, but I do know this, that your wanting to fit in probably isn't going to serve you. You are a misfit. You are unique. You are special. And you can and are changing your country. So don't try to get angry and let me go buy a bucket of hate. Yeah. Now, like Bob was doing, if you want to go try it on and see what it's like, because I promise you, it probably won't feel good, but then it could be like, right, an addiction. So if you want to try it on, but you don't need to. That's
well, I did try couple of times, because people tell me, because other people tell me, something wrong with you. You people, you just not from this planet. Something wrong. You have to hate. You have to feel bad. And so I go out there and try. It's like
I'm laughing. I love you. So who wants to give my dearest friend Kayla some feedback?
I'd like to say that part of the cost of repressing bad feelings is you also repress your good feelings. Part of the skill is learning to be able to feel and stepping back from it, making some kind of meaning that's useful to you about it, and then go on to the next feeling. But if you repress the negative feelings, after a while, you will also repress the good feelings. So part of the question is, where did it start? You can do two things. In other words, you can look forward and say, okay, how do I want to feel next? And build the pattern that you want to use to feel good. The other part of the solution is to look back into your past and discover where it was that you started to repress feeling angry and transform that. And there's some patterns that are very effective for doing that. And I probably don't want to take time now, but when I first shared this morning, the thing that was on my mind was, how is it that even though I know how to change some of those things, if I don't allow myself to feel the negative feelings, if I don't allow myself to feel the loss, or allow myself to feel occasionally angry, there's nothing for me to work with. So part of the suggestion I have is trying to find those situations where you're safe to express your negative feelings. Allow yourself to have them. Recognize that you aren't going to be totally out of control, because as you're getting older, it's probably your core self, your spirit, your executive self, whatever you want to call it, that's now waking up and saying, I don't want to behave like I've always behaved. And there's new things to do, and there's new ways to learn how to have my life the way I want it. And I'm just waking up to it. And you love it, including feeling the bad feelings from time to time. The trick is not to stay stuck in it. Have your negative feelings, step back from it and say, oh, maybe something like, oh, that's interesting. What could I do with that? What are the opportunities in my feeling angry at that person? What good could come out of that? Make a new meaning of it. It's like Viktor Frankl discovered in Auschwitz. The Germans could do everything they wanted to his body, but he had control of his mind. That's the one thing they never could control. He could make up a meaning for any experience that he had. And if you make one meaning and it doesn't quite work, well, step back from that and make a new meaning of all of that. Say something to yourself that's productive. Come up with some sort of description of, oh, that's interesting. I stepped in what? What's my optical rectilitis teaching me today?
So, Kayla, I'm going to go from a woman's standpoint. First, understand that just because you're in Panama, everything that happens here is exactly the same at a different level. People are people, and people shit on people, and people love people. And I think the fact that you have such an innate loving soul is a gift that you should continue to embrace, because coming from, I'm going to say, fighting my way out of a negative mindset from people that have told me that's how I should be, it's a hard uphill battle. And the fact that you live in a state of love, it's a pretty cool thing. I can agree with Robert that maybe it's something that you might want to visit, but I would be fearful of falling into it. And I think the reason that you're coming to this place now of realization in your mind, like you're saying, as you get older, it's because all the people that are around you that live in that negative state want you to feel their pain. And I don't know necessarily that that's a healthy thing. I think you should continue to fight that. That's just an opinion from a woman to woman, because we can be pretty brutal. I don't know if it's all women that are telling you these things, but you know, we can be brutal. I think you have a gift. Embrace it. Stay in love.
Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, Kayla, I think it's, you have people that are all going to act a little bit differently. And if someone is talking or whatever and being demeaning to you or someone else, other people are going to react differently. And you may absorb it and know this isn't going to benefit by, you know, reacting to it. And I think that most of the time is wise, because when you're in a situation, you have to figure out, okay, is me reacting to this or to this person or whatever going to make the situation better or worse? And so you may have others that they say, oh, I don't care. I'm going to react this way because, you know, it's the right thing to do, or I'm being mistreated. But it's not always the right thing to do. And it seems like you are very in tune with yourself. And so people may say things or whatever happens, and you take it, but you don't let it get to your soul. So like they're saying, you are very special, because I kind of shield myself from some of that too, where it's just not worth it to take off some of their baggage. So you have a gift, because people can come at you with things and you just kind of let it slide off of you, because their negativity is not yours. So.
Uh-oh, where'd she go?
Because they're very gifted to do that. And it doesn't mean you can't ever process those feelings like on your own, but don't let them take you down. Because again, it is very easy to go down the rabbit hole and to get involved in the negative part of the emotions. So just every time that someone says, oh, I can't believe you don't get upset or whatever, go, I was given a gift when I was born to not let these external outside things affect my being. And so you know, I'm very, very proud of you for who you are every day, but then to be able to also bring this to the group, I think is wonderful. So
Powerful.
good for you.
Thank you. Thank you for your words. Yes, it's just that it like I said, I don't feel bad about it, but I never used to feel bad about it, and it is the people telling me that it's not the correct behavior, and so I started to think that something was wrong with me, right? And like when Robert says, thank you, Robert, when you say like look back, when I was explaining like what's going on, what's happening, I said, I do know some things, like I do know why I feel like kids all the time, because that's how I feel. And sometimes all people also criticize me that, right? Like, you always like a kid, you always like, and I know why, right? And that too, I'm like, I think it's time to not always feel like a kid. But sometimes then you hear things saying like, it's nice being like a kid. So, you know, it's like the older I get is I start to get like confused with those things. And but I appreciate that the things that you're saying, because you don't hear those things often. What you hear often in the people is saying, you shouldn't be like that. You know, that you don't hear often people telling you it's a good thing or it's a gift or it's something like that, right? So I really appreciate you guys saying that. And yes, look, even when you say that, Robert, like look back, when you say look back, right there, I look back, right? And I know, and I always know what, and I know that all the things that happen, I decide, and I know I decide from being little, I decide to never hate no one.
That's a blessing.
But when I decide that, it's like I convince myself from very little to not hate people, to love people. I always tell myself when I was little, and sometimes I even think how am I being so little thought about something like that, right? But I remember myself going and in the room and say, I have to love everybody, I have to love everybody, I have to love everybody. And I remember me saying that, right? So that's why, yes, if I look back, I know why I started to be like that, because I remember me saying, I have to love people, I have to love everybody, I have to love. So I guess I did that for so many years that I love everybody. And then that's why I started wonder if that thing that I did when I was little for many years, almost like for 12 years, now it hurt me not feeling bad. And that's what I'm getting like confused, and that's what I'm asking, you know, that's what I share with you guys today. But hearing things like it's a gift is like, no, it's not bad, right? So thank you.
Well, we have an app for that. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version of it. When you said, Kayla, that you remember when it first started, that you started telling yourself that you love everybody, that you have to love everybody, or maybe that you can't be angry with people. If you take yourself back in time to that point and take yourself back to that moment and ask yourself, what kind of resources could I have had? What kind of help could I have had? What kind of encouragement? Who would have been there? My father, my mother, my preacher, my teacher, my brothers or sisters, maybe my grandparents, who would have given me some encouragement or some advice that would allow you to change your feelings in that moment, to allow you to be able to say, well, occasionally I can be angry with people. I don't have to be nicey to everybody all the time. And if you can imagine someone giving you that gift, that resource at that moment, maybe you were 5, maybe you were 10, I don't know what age it was. Some people that I've worked with actually started before they were conceived. They picked up attitudes and directives from others, from outside. But if you can start from that place where you first experience that, oh, I have to love everybody, add in some kind of a resource, some kind of guidance or encouragement, and then come up through time, imagining what would happen next if you had that encouragement, if you had that resource, if you had that help. And come up through time a little bit at a time and notice how everything changes having that resource. And gradually bring yourself up to the present, letting all those past memories change, having had that resource all along the line. Notice what it would be like then to step into the future, having had all those memories change on you, where now you don't have to be nicey with everybody. You can get angry occasionally when you like to, when it's useful. And you can still love people. Notice how all that shifts. So when you think of stepping into tomorrow, you have a whole bunch of additional resources that you didn't know you had. You can respond and react differently. You can always go back and look at how it really was. This is not about changing your actual memory, but it's about transforming your memories in such a way that all of a sudden the future looks different to you, because you have, it's like having, if you only have one solution in your pocket, you're stuck. If you have only two, you're on the horns of a dilemma. But if you have more than two resources to call on, now you're becoming really resourceful. And so what we have is a way to build in those resources, build in those responses into our past in such a way that when we're faced with something in the future, instead of saying, oh, the only thing I have to rely on is being angry or being nicey to people, now I have some other choices I can make. So that's a Reader's Digest version of what we call re-imprinting. In other words, you don't have to live with the same memories in the original fashion that you originally created them in, from your original experiences. You can have those experiences over and over again, putting into them the resources that you know would have made a difference to you, and having them added to your memories. Now you're facing the future with a lot more resources, a lot more choices. You don't have to be nicey all the time.
Bob, I appreciate that. That's powerful information. But that's what this call is for. It's for us misfits who together we fit in, but we share our experience and wisdom and knowledge. This isn't a monologue of me. I just happen to put the Zoom link up. Any one of us have done this. Any one of us was doing this right now. And I love the fact that we get to do it together. So, Kayla, you're an icon of hope for so many women. You're a powerful entrepreneur. You're the first to reach the level of success in all of Panama. Not just, I want you to hear this. I get frustrated in our MLM industry when they go, they're the first woman. Well, no, you're the first everything to have reached that rank. So maybe your joy, maybe your goodness is what allowed you to get there sooner rather than later. So And it's not about rank, it's just about, and what that's again, our industry, it's about how many people you've been able to help. So
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah, just wait till you get to really love yourself for it.
Yeah. So any last comments? Cool. Your hearts all spoke to me. So I appreciate you, Bob and Elaine and Murray and Christy and Cadillac and everybody, April. I hope you're not coming to these thinking, oh, I got to show up because if I don't show up, somebody's going to say something. I hope that's not why you're showing up. I don't believe that is, but I want to speak to the subconscious, because when we do something long enough, it's like, oh, now I got a freaking job. I got to show up on a 6:30 or 4:30 a.m. call. I want to say thank you. Thank you for helping me be more every day. And that's what we're going to do. Tomorrow, I don't know what the topic will be, but I'm sure something brilliant will pop in, or we'll have an amazing conversation. But I can tell you this, when people say somebody needs to do something, right? When we talk about, well, somebody needs to change that. Well, this is that somebody. This group is that somebody. This collaboration of ideas and concepts and joy is changing the world. And I'll be selfish enough to say it's changing my world. So I'm okay with that. I appreciate you all. And I wish you the greatest of success. And when fear and doubt show up, make sure you're living in your own house of faith and courage. Go answer the door, and I promise you nothing will be there. Love you all tons. I appreciate you. Thanks for being a high energy misfit, and I'll see you where? At the next event. Till then, love you all. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.